What is this, Jacob?
What is this?
Are we doing an episode about the Lighthouse?
Yes, we are, my friend.
Oh, God. All right. What's up, everybody? Lame jokes aside, hello, everyone. Britton here from Brit and Jacob Go to the Movies. I'm Britton.
And I'm Jacob.
And today, we're going to be talking about a doozy. Oh, boy. We're going to be talking about the Lighthouse today. What do you think, Jacob?
Oh, I am ready.
Oh, yes. But we're not alone today. Are we,
No, we
Jacob?
are not. No, we are not.
We got a special guest today. It's our second guest spot. Our dear friend, Taheg Gloder from the UK. Introduce yourself, my friend.
Ahoy! Nautical themed greeting there. I'm Taheg. I'm the actual Brit in this podcast. Sorry, couldn't resist. And yeah, big film fan and enjoy talking a lot, so talking about films seems a solid place to be. I also write a lot, but we can get to that later. Man.
You know, I gotta say this. I gotta say, we're talking about the Lighthouse today. I sadly did not see this in theaters, but I did buy the movie from Barnes and Noble, and I ended up seeing it. And I actually talked with Jacob when I watched this. I think it's better to call it a fever dream of a film. That's the best way I can describe this damn movie.
Absolutely.
In all honesty, I don't really know what to say about this film. I was kind of nervous walking in here today to talk about this fever dream of a movie called The Lighthouse with those two gentlemen on my portrait there, Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, who are two of my favorite actors ever. I don't care what you say about Twilight. Robert Pattinson is excellent. And this movie is one of those films that prove it for me.
Absolutely. He gets a lot of flack for stuff he did, nearly 20 years ago. Like, his first couple of films that he made just to break into the industry. And people ignore the fact that everything he's put out since has been gold. I've caught a lot of flack in the past, but I will stand by my point. He is easily one of the best actors of his generation. And I think nowhere is that more evident than in The Lighthouse, where he's working next to Willem Dafoe, an absolute titan of the industry, who just happens to deliver, I would consider, a career-defining performance in this movie. And then the whole time, you've got Arpats right there next to him, going blow for blow in every scene, and really holding his own against an absolute legend. And if that doesn't show you his chops, I don't know what else anyone can do to convince you. How can you just doubt him after he delivers a performance like this? It's phenomenal.
Indeed.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I've defended Robert Pattinson ever since. I saw Good Time, and then I saw him in The Lighthouse, and he quickly became one of my favorite actors. And yeah, when he announced that he was going to be Batman, I immediately was ecstatic. And after seeing the movie, Pattinson has become my favorite Batman. And after seeing the Batman, I'm like, I want to see this guy in more stuff because he is a phenomenal actor. I don't care. I don't want to hear anything about him in Twilight and having sparkly skin and all that. He's a phenomenal actor. And put him in a film aside Willem Dafoe, who is already legendary, you're going to get a bizarre masterpiece, I'd say.
Yeah, all I can say about this movie is that it's fucking wild. And I love it. Robert Eggers, I think, is one of the best filmmakers working today. I mean, really. The Witch, mwah. The Lighthouse, mwah. And it took me a minute to... I mean, I really liked The Lighthouse when it first came out. But when I saw it again about a month ago, I love it now. I love it even more, You guys know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I've always said, it's not the watching that makes a film amazing. It's the re-watching. You can go and see a film, especially if it's in the cinema, you've got the whole atmosphere, everyone around you, they're all, they're cheering at the high points, crying at the low points. it's all very kind of, you get caught up in the wave of it. In that setting, in that mood, the first time you see a film, you'll love it. You'll either really love it or really hate it. It's when you revisit that movie, like a year, 2 years down the line, if it still has the same impact with you on that second viewing that it did on the first, for me, that's when you know you've seen a really amazing film. Like, I missed The Lighthouse when it first came in the cinemas because, I mean, as I'm sure many people did, it arrived in England at the start of 2020. It was like February 2020 it came out. So, I mean, honestly, looking back, this is probably a film I would have risked the Rona to see in the theaters. But, like, yeah, in hindsight, sure. But at the time, I was like, hell no, lockdown, I'm going to stay inside. I can wait and see this film later. And so I eventually saw it, and, you know, it absolutely lived up to the hype. I saw it, I loved it, I didn't stop talking about it for about a week. But that was 2020, and, like, I wanted to watch it again today, just before we started recording, so it was fresh in my mind. And as I was pushing play, I was like, what if it's not as good? What if that first time was just, you know, sort of first time nerves? What if I see it again and it lacks the impact that it had the first time? But yeah, no, it hits just as hard on the second and probably third, fourth, and fifth viewings as it does that first time. It is just an expertly crafted movie.
Yeah, yeah. When you say that, it makes me think of when I saw The Green Knight again when I got it for Christmas. I'm like, was I just high on the time I saw it in the movie, or, you know, is this actually really good? And I watched it again, and I'm like, God damn, I love this movie. Same thing with The Lighthouse. I actually texted Jacob. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna watch it right now. My parents were gone. And I turned all my lights off because, you know, I thought it was gonna be kind of a scary movie. And well, let me tell you, I have never experienced a film quite like The Lighthouse. I mean, I've seen some art house films, but this movie literally defies every category in the book. Like, I have never seen a movie that has subverted itself. Maybe since Blade Runner. Where you're like, oh, it's probably gonna go there. And the movie's like, ha! Psych! You know, it's not that. Now, I will admit to you right now, I still have no fucking idea what happened. What all happened in this movie. But you know what? I liked most of it.
Yeah, with The Lighthouse, I saw it in theaters, and it was definitely an experience on the first time. I was mesmerized when I first watched it, but I watched it two more times after seeing it in theaters when it came on Blu-ray. And the thing I like about The Lighthouse is that a movie like The Lighthouse comes along very rarely, because the thing I loved about this film is that it's not concerned with whatever the trends are. It's not trying to be anything mainstream, and it's also not trying to be so artsy that comes off as pretentious. I mean, there's fart jokes in this film, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, there is.
But yeah, the movie doesn't feel like it's above anyone. It's just a really well-crafted film. So well-crafted they don't even notice. And I really appreciate that so much more when I watched it the third time.
Indeed.
I think you're the first person I've spoken to that actually saw it in the theatre. I'd have to ask, was it in the same aspect ratio in the theatres with kind of the very small kind of boxy screen, or did they bring it up to full size?
No, it was the exact same ratio.
Oh, awesome.
It was phenomenal.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little jealous, Jacob, because I was in my theater and I was like, hey, Dad, you want to go see this, like, weird art house film? I probably shouldn't have said it like that, but my dad was like, no, basically. He basically gave the long-winded explanation of, no. But I very much regret not seeing it in the movie, but I will say, watching it in my darkened office was a lot of fun, and I was texting Jacob like, whoa, this movie's pretty good. And he's like, yeah, I told you, bro. Now, here's the thing about the theaters in my town, anyway. It was there for like 2 weeks, and it just disappeared. I was like, what the hell? But anyways, I really love this movie. it has become a favorite of mine over these last couple of years.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hands down my favourite film released in 2019. It blew away everything else that year.
Mine too. It was my favorite film of 2019.
Great way to end the decade.
I mean, there's a lot of crazy shit in this movie. I'm not gonna lie. And we're gonna get into that, but oh man, just powerhouse acting from two guys at the top of their game, really.
Absolutely.
And
Indeed.
You could say it's kind of hammed up in some parts, but I don't. If a more subtle acting style was used in this film, it might underplay the just utter insanity of this movie.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is very much a film about two people driven to the absolute edge. Like, they are taken to and then beyond the point where the human mind just kind of snaps. You don't want sort of subtle, underplayed, mental breakdowns. There are films for that, but this is not that. This is a film about people just completely losing it. And I think the very kind of it toes the line of being hammy at a couple of points, but with the skill and the deftness that the two actors bring to it, it's impossible to doubt that they absolutely nailed it. They delivered exactly the performance that the role and the script required. So, I mean, I wouldn't change any part of it, except maybe a little bit less Robert Pattinson masturbating. Could have done without that. But other than that and mermaid vaginas, I wouldn't have changed a frame of this film.
It's just such a great film. And also, I gotta say, has some of the most evocative cinematography I've ever seen in a movie. I mean, and apparently they, shot it on, old film to make it look like the time. Because, Robert Eggers, I'm a big history nerd. So, Robert Eggers also happens to be a big history nerd. And he loves authenticity in his films. To the point where I had to put the subtitles on for The Lighthouse, because I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get what the hell they're saying if I don't put on the subtitles. Made me feel like such a 21st century person.
Defoe definitely does. He uses a lot of real sailors vernacular. A lot of it. There are definitely points where, especially the first time, I did have to backtrack on a couple of the scenes just to re-listen, because a few of the things when he really starts kind of that stream of consciousness rambling, and when they get really drunk, it can be incredibly difficult to understand what the hell they're saying, which it adds to the kind of claustrophobia of the film, but as a viewer, it can be a little difficult to absorb.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get more into Willem Dafoe in this, but I do love the kind of weird poetry of the language in this movie.
Yeah.
Especially from Dafoe. But what are your blurb thoughts before we fucking put our knives into these lobsters? Wait, what do you guys think? I think it's a great movie. Just so.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's very Lovecraftian flick. It's almost more of a play than a movie. It's just two people driven to the absolute edge of sanity, and then dipping a toe over the line.
That sounds about right. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, The Lighthouse. As I said, it was my favorite film of 2019 because Robert Eggers clearly has a love for film. The direction, the music, the cinematography, it feels like a film that came out in the 1890s. And it's a film that's both captivating and confounding, and a very psychological and thought-provoking film about these two people, just tolerating with each other. We have one that's an extrovert, and then we have one that's the exact opposite, and seeing them be pushed to the limits, and seeing them do some bizarre and some questionable things is phenomenal. The best way I can describe The Lighthouse is it's a bizarre masterpiece.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Mm.
Also, I will note that me and Jacob share fucking Lighthouse memes all the time, like on New Year's. On New Year's, this last New Year's, I was eating king crab and I sent Jacob a text message saying, "Are you fond of me, lobster?" And he just sent me a bunch of gifs of the Lighthouse. So it was really fun. Oh, it's a good time. Oh God. Let's get into this damn movie. Oh, man. Alright. So we begin in 1890s New England. That's what it says on that's what it says on Wikipedia. And we end up seeing this just wonderful shot of a ship, and you hear that the horn for the first time, which, oh man, I gotta say, such an evocative opening is all I can say to that. And I like how the foghorn almost sounds beautiful, but it's also kind of maddening at the same time.
Indeed.
Almost a scream.
Exactly, yeah. And, and one of the things Robert Eggers likes to do, at least in this movie anyways, he likes you to experience the scenery as much as possible. He likes to put you into the moment, and he likes to immerse you into the world.
Absolutely. Eggers is able to use the visuals in the film and the composition of his shots to communicate this story. And just from the opening scene, I was like immediately hooked into this film.
Indeed. I don't blame you.
Very much so, yeah.
We end up meeting our two sea dogs. We meet Ephraim Winslow, I think is his name, is how you pronounce it, played by Robert Pattinson, and Thomas Wake, played by Willem Dafoe. And here's a thing I didn't notice from the first time I saw this until the next part of it. We don't even know their names until maybe halfway into the movie. I don't remember hearing it, and I caught that. I'm like, oh, they never even say their names until, like, the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Oh, yeah, I noticed it.
Yeah.
The second time I watched it.
Oh. Because, I can just look it up on Wikipedia, like, oh, that's their names, cool. And then I, go up and, watch the movie. But, but it's just, these two random guys, and they're, and they're just, hanging out. And I love how it focuses on Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. And if I hadn't said it enough already in this, they are both amazing in this.
It always bears repeating.
Oh, man. I mean, these two are, some of my favorite actors of all time. Robert Pattinson went from, I really don't like Twilight, and I don't blame Robert Pattinson for Twilight, but he, made the, complete 180 and became one of my favorite actors of all time. And he's, now one of my favorite concurrent actors working right now.
Funny enough, a very similar career arc to that that's currently been led by Daniel Radcliffe, who obviously broke in playing Harry Potter, and has since just done a succession of very bizarre kind of indie weird flicks.
Yeah, but
why the hell not? He made more money than sense doing Harry Potter. He could probably retire now and be fine. So he just does projects that amuse him and that he thinks will be quite interesting. And I think it's a really kind of
Swiss Army
cool
Man.
To do things.
Exactly, Jacob really likes that one. That was a really weird one. I liked it though. I thought it was really weird. Their new one's coming out, and I saw the trailer. What?
Did you see Guns Akimbo?
No, I haven't, but it looks insane.
It is
insane.
Bizarre. Yeah.
Anyways, we're getting off topic. Though, I will say the difference between Twilight and Harry Potter is that Harry Potter is actually good. But they do have one thing in common. They both have Robert Pattinson in it.
And he's dead in both of them.
But no, Robert Pattinson really holds his own here in this movie with Willem Dafoe. And I love his character in this movie. Or, well, I don't know about love, because they're not very likable people, but they're fun to watch, you know? And Willem Dafoe, oh my god. Like, you know, this dude, living legend. I've loved him since I first saw him in the Spider-Man movies, the Raimi Spider-Man films. And, man, my respect for this man has only grown in the years I've seen. And, man, he is amazing here. Like, if this were a lesser actor, it would have just turned into a stereotype. But you know what? Willem Dafoe's like, I'm gonna fucking play with this. And that's exactly what he did. And he made him feel like a real person. And I love it.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, the first kind of, the opening 20, 30 minutes, basically up until about where they introduce themselves, the whole film just really builds that feeling of isolation. There's loads of these like long shots of expansive nothingness. They really hammer home the fact that there is not another living soul in miles. If anything goes wrong, they are on their own.
Yeah, I really like that too.
They hammer that home by the fact that they don't even tell you the names of the people you're with for about, I think it's about the first 40 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
It builds that kind of feeling that you are completely isolated and like almost inhuman. So well done.
Yeah, you're almost irritable.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really love about this film. Even seeing it in theaters, I just got that sense of claustrophobia. Like, I was like, it's a very contained movie, and as Taheg said, you feel very isolated. Like, when anything happens, like, they're on their own, as Taheg said. And the feeling of claustrophobia is what I really loved about this film. And just adding to the ratio of the film just makes you feel even more claustrophobic.
Oh, man, yeah. And again, Robert Eggers just really hammers home the scenery and some of the just best cinematography I've seen in a long time.
Absolutely. A24, like, no matter, I know a lot of people have a lot of things to say about A24, but there are very, very few production companies right now that make better looking films. I've never seen an A24 film. No matter what you may think of the content of the movie, I've never seen one that didn't look spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, Killing of a Sacred Deer is a fucking turd, but it looks nice.
That is exactly the film I was thinking of when I said that movie with a burning passion. I personally really enjoyed it. But, yeah, like, it is beautifully, starkly shot, as is this, as is The Witch, as is The Green Knight. And judging from the trailers we've seen, as will be The Northman, which is Eggers' next big film.
Oh, my God, I can't wait for that.
So excited.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Oh, it looks so good.
So good.
Anyway. So, you know, for the first scene alone, we're already, like, really deep into this, which I like. But, we end up getting to meet the two guys who, again, we don't know their names yet, but what we do, well, I will say their names, Ephraim Winslow, who is Robert Pattinson, and Thomas Wake, Willem Dafoe. And apparently, like, they filmed this with a really old camera, and I am probably saying that because I'm a newbie at this, I know a little bit, but they recorded this with it was shot in black and white with a nearly square 1:19 aspect ratio, which apparently they used back in the old, like, Nosferatu days. I don't know if any of y'all seen Nosferatu. Very bizarre film. Also spawned Shadow of the Vampire, which is another really bizarre movie with Willem Dafoe. He just loves those weird ones. Anyways, but yes, the shot composition in this movie is amazing. But we end up meeting the two guys, and we get a kind of sense of their personalities just from the first, like, 10 minutes of them walking around. We see that Thomas Wake is a bit more playful, you could say. Would I be right in that?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Gregarious. He likes farting.
He does, yeah. I think Jacob nailed it earlier with Tom is very much the extrovert character. This is not his first stay in a lighthouse. He's been doing this for probably decades at this point, so he's quite comfortable with the surroundings. And then Ephraim is just dropped in, and he's clearly very sort of unsure about what he's doing here. He wants to, follow the rules, but he just isn't really given a chance.
Yeah, he's not a drinker. He's kind of quiet, keeps to himself. And I mean, if there's one thing that Robert Pattinson's good at doing, it's brooding.
Indeed.
I mean, like, he's playing Batman, so yeah.
That's true. Yeah. He was also in Tenet, which that was a trip. That's another film. I'm like, I don't know if I want to talk about that.
Yeah, no. Too
I
complex.
skipped that one, so if you want to talk about that, I'll go get a drink. I actually skipped that film.
Oh, God. Anyway, so Robert Pattinson, Ephraim Winslow, he is serving a contract job as a wickie, which is a slang term for lighthouse keeper. And Thomas Wake is the guy who, he's been like the keeper for a long time. So, he's like Taheg said, he's more experienced at the job. And they end up setting up their rooms and their bunks and whatnot. And we see Wake's, I think, kind of childlike sense of humor. He's just farting on. He's whistling and he farts. It's like his thing.
Oh man.
Wish he made more sex jokes. Really, I'm more of a sex joke when we talk about dirty humor. I like sex jokes more, but you know what? That's fine. You can do that.
This kind of goes back to Egger's capabilities as a shot framer. That first one, where you see Ephraim on the bed and he's kind of getting things unpacked, and you can hear what sounds like someone taking a piss off to one side. You're like, okay, so clearly it's quite close quarters, and then you hear the first of many, 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 many Tom farts. And then kind of it all goes quiet, and then you see him just walk out from in front of the pillar. You realise that as he was pissing and farting, he was literally standing probably not even a foot from Ephraim's head as he was doing that. And it's like, oh man, there is really no personal space anywhere on that island. They are in for a rough couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, Thomas Wake is like the jerkest boss ever. Just the worst. But anyways. They go into his quarters and Winslow ends up finding this little wood carving of a mermaid. And he's like, ooh, interesting. And he stuffs it into his pocket. Which I would say begins his road to hell, because I have a personal theory that mermaid carving is cursed. Because it all goes badly from there. So anyways, they end up having dinner that night, and Thomas Wake is pouring himself some whiskey. He's getting fucking loaded on the first night over, and he offers Winslow some, and he's like, nah, I'm good. But again, you get the you get the sense of their personalities in this scene, which I really like. What do you guys think of this scene?
The dinner scene.
Yeah.
Oh, it's classic. It's just so perfectly done. Like, again, along with the bedroom scene that it follows, it just shows how cramped everything is. Like, they're having dinner in this tiny little, like, footstool of a table, and everyone's just, like, obviously so uncomfortable with the whole situation. Tom's there just channeling food down, knocking back his whiskey, like, come on, man. So we're going to be here for a month, relax a bit. And he's like, no, we've got to follow the rules. Yes. Given how short a scene it is, it establishes their characters perfectly right off the bat. Very sparse, but incredibly well done.
Indeed.
Oh, absolutely. The dinner scene alone, like, you know what what their characters and their personalities are. Willem Dafoe, very big, and Pattinson, like, this is his first time doing this, and of course he's going to be very introverted and not too sure. And the fact that that he's going to have to deal with this buffoon of a character, Willem Dafoe's character, he's just like, oh God, I'm in for a rough 2 weeks.
Yeah, I forget. Isn't it a month or is it like a couple of weeks? I forget.
I think it's a month, isn't it? Initially, it's meant to be 4 weeks, not 2.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
So we end up getting a sense of we also after the dinner scene we end up getting a sense of the work that he has to do, and it doesn't seem that fun, and Wake turns out to be kind of an asshole boss. He's like telling him to get some, he's like empty some stuff and paint the lighthouse and then carry some very heavy containers, which apparently have kerosene in them, up the stairs, while telling him not to go into the lantern room. Which that even gets wilder, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, it makes me not want to be a lighthouse worker, and apparently it was a very tough shoot as well because that island not very forgiving.
It shows.
But but like this just shows that Robert Eggers like just loves films and wants you to. He wants it to feel authentic in every way possible. Like, yeah, we'll go to this lighthouse area that's not very welcoming.
Isn't it the first scene where we see him like hanging off of the lighthouse trying to paint it, and then Wake's like, "Be careful there, boy." Because I think that scene's hilarious because he's just like holding him there, and I'm Robert Pattinson's just like, this drunk crazy asshole is holding me here while I'm doing this. What did I sign up for? This is one of the few. That's kind of the start of the what. That's one of the starts of the what did I sign up for types of moments.
Yeah. It just shows how much of a dickhead that Wakes is. Like, we see this scene, it goes like. There's a kind of recurring habit in this film of letting the scenes run on about 30 to 60 seconds longer than they probably need to, just to highlight the monotony of the work that Pattinson has to go through. And we see him really struggling to lift this whole pot right up to the top. Well, Waits is watching him the whole time. Then he waits for him to get to the top. Like, oh, yeah, by the way, next time, use this smaller pot.
Yeah.
By the way, take the big pot, put it downstairs again. You're going to get us all in trouble. It's like, you must have had at least half an hour of watching him carry this thing up to alert him to the fact that you don't need to bring the big one right to the top. But he let him do it just so he could physically and, literally and metaphorically knock him down to the bottom of the stairs again the moment after it happens. Like, it's a real kind of power play. He's establishing who's in charge here. But it's also a massive dick move.
Yeah, it's actually one of the motifs of the film is power structures. Now, I know there's some people who see a homoerotic subtext, and yeah, there is certainly that a little bit in this, but I think it's more likely that's a power thing. I think that's kind of what the conflict later about the lighthouse is about. It's Winslow's like, fuck this guy, I want the power now. He's like, hey, I am the lighthouse keeper now.
I mean, we can't ignore the fact that A, there is a lot of tension between them due to the isolation and everything. And B, I mean, it's a lighthouse. It's basically a giant wang. There is a lot of incredibly phallic imagery during this film. It is definitely about kind of power plays and all that, but we can't deny there is definitely a homoerotic subtext to a lot of the interactions in this film.
Oh, most definitely. Even later when they're dancing around and they're slow dancing with each other. Yeah. Which is interesting, and also again there is also that kind of repressed sexuality motif, especially when it comes to the lighthouse. We end up seeing later Winslow having a smoke out in the evening, and he ends up looking up at the lighthouse, and and Wake is up there, and I think he's naked, and it's implied he might masturbate in the Lighthouse's presence. Because it looks like he just let a load off as he's like, I love ye. Or whatever he says. I forget exactly what he says.
It's something along those lines, yeah.
Yeah, this film has a lot to do with power and our perception of power, especially as men, and how we view ourselves and how we should be treated, like what we think we deserve as men.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you nailed it there. It's about what people feel like they deserve and how they kind of feel they should be treated. Like, Ephraim's very much like, I've read the rules. I know I'm allowed to work on the light. And Tom's like, no, I'm sorry. This right here, this little island, this is my domain. You have to follow what I say, even if it's not necessarily by the rules.
Yeah, like there's
the way it goes.
Yeah, like there's a scene where he's like, swiping it, and he's using like a broom, and he's swiping the floor. And then Wake gets all pissed off at him for no reason. And he's all like, dude, I swabbed it. And he's like, well, and then he gives like this, just like one of the first of many great monologues about how if you're gonna if I tell you to swab this damn thing, it better be fucking spotless, you damn, or I'll make sure that I'll put it in my book. I got my book. he has like a what do you call it?
It's a log, I think.
The log, yeah. Logbook, yeah, and it's like, and he's like threatening to like take away his pay, and you're just like, dude, this guy's a dick.
Like, my God.
The definition of a job's worth.
Oh God, yeah. But at night he's like trying to get to know him, and Winslow's like, eh. Then he pours him some liquor, and he tries it, and he just like spits it out, and Wake just thinks it's hilarious. Oh, God. But yes, apparently, Winslow gets very interested in what's going on in that, lighthouse up there, because, it seems like there's something going on over there, and Wake is like, it looks like he just fucking ejaculated, and he's all like, I love ye. Like, it goes back to that kind of sexual subtext. Thanks for putting that in my brain, Robert Eggers. Dirty bastard.
Is that when he's spying on Tom, like in the actual light room, and there's like the goo dripping from the roof?
Oh God. What? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, like he looks up and you don't see what he sees, but you see his reaction to what he sees, and then you see kind of a big glob of kind of clear goo drop through the floorboard. And you're like, okay, what is that? And then he looks back up again, and you see what looks like kind of an octopus tentacle.
Oh, and I
thought I knew what I just saw, but what did I actually just see? What the fuck is going on here? Is there a squid up there, or is he kind of seeing a tentacle, but he doesn't want to see what he actually saw when he looked up there?
It's probably that turpentine alcohol they drink later.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. It's all over.
Anyway, so we get kind of the idea on what it's like working at the lighthouse, and let me tell you, it ain't fun. It doesn't look fun anyway. Like, I don't know. It looks horrible, actually. And Willem Dafoe is just, like, the douchiest boss of all time, and he's always getting after him for, like, dumb shit. And Winslow's just like, you know what, I want that paycheck, though.
Just get it for the money.
Yeah, but then after a while, it seems that our boy, Winslow, it seems like there's something off with him because he ends up starting to see some weird going-ons on the island. Such as beginning to hallucinate sea creatures, like the octopus that Taheg mentioned earlier, as well as a mermaid, but I think that's later on.
Yeah.
And, he also has, one very trippy dream sequence where he sees a bunch of logs in the in the water, and he ends up walking towards it, and he ends up having a weird dream sequence like that, which kind of leads to my personal theory on what this movie is, which I personally think they're in some sort of purgatory. I don't know about you guys. I don't know what you guys think.
I think a strong case could be made for that. Yeah, like it's clear that both characters, like we start off, we were introduced to them. They tell their stories of who they are and what they've been up to, and then kind of as the film continues, you start to find out more about their past, and you realize that a lot of what they said during those early discussions was bullshit, and you kind of find out that they're both really hiding quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the film...
There's clearly some weight on those shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, what this film does really well is it kind of... And I fucking hate saying this. It subverts your expectations. But not in the Rian Johnson type of way. But in like a... We're gonna pull the rug out from under... Well, that is kind of the... I mean, is there a better way you guys would say it? Because I'm running out of words. But I like how this film... pulls the rug out from under you a few times. Like you think, like you think there's going to be a twist in the movie. And, well, they toy with you, and then it turns out it's not really a twist. They're just fucking with you because, it's what they do. It's what this movie does.
Yeah, I think one of the kind of the key points of this film is perception. Like, how you sort of perceive the world. Like, did he really see a mermaid? Did he really do this? Like, did any of that stuff actually happen? Or is this just, are you seeing two people slowly going mad, and as things start to seem more twisted around them, is that just their perception changing because they're slowly, drinking kerosene and getting munted? And it's like, how much of what we see can we really believe actually happened?
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain haunted quality about the island. It's almost like you're confronted with... I don't want to compare it to The Shining, because a lot of people are like, oh, it's The Shining in a lighthouse. Which, maybe, I don't think so personally, but, I get where the comparison would come from. But I find that the island almost feels like they're ghosts, and they're... Which kind of feeds into my belief that they're in this sort of purgatory state, which is the lighthouse, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can see why people would make comparisons to The Shining. For me, though, the difference is, in The Shining, it's very much implied that he is driven mad because of the supernatural elements that surround the Outlook Hotel, whereas in the Lighthouse, it's more that they're seeing these supernatural elements that aren't actually there because they themselves are going insane. It's kind of they're kind of alternate takes, or slightly fumbling here. They're the opposite ends of the same spectrum. One is being driven mad by the supernatural elements, and the other is seeing the supernatural elements because you've been driven mad, if you get what I mean.
Huh. Right. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, in the Lighthouse, you're just seeing these two people, like, just losing their mind because they're working on the lighthouse for initially 2 weeks, but it ends up being a month, and you're seeing them losing their mind. So the comparison between this and The Shining, yeah, I agree with Taheg. I can see the comparisons, but I don't think it's like The Shining, but with the lighthouse, in my opinion.
Oh, no, I don't think that either. I think Taheg brings an interesting point that I didn't even consider, which is, yeah, this movie is a lot about perception and just how it becomes so skewed, because it's clearly from the perspective of Winslow, who, he's basically the protagonist of this movie. And Wake is, I don't know what he is. He's fucking nuts. That's all I'll say. But he's like the salty sea dog devil. I don't know. He's not the devil, but he's like a salty sea dog like guy who there's something he's hiding, but we don't know what it is. And it's almost like this film is literally a cinematic equivalent of someone, like, throwing a, like, really complex mathematical equation at you and just saying, figure it out. And you're just like, What? AKA, I had to watch a lot of videos to understand what was going on, because I enjoy this movie. It is a very thoroughly entertaining movie, even if you don't get along the subtext of the movie or what the movie's about. But, you know, I'm like, I don't fucking get it. Like, there are some shout-outs to Greek mythology in this movie, but, you know, this film is very ambiguous, I think is the best word to describe it.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, it's very much a film that you can just watch and enjoy because it's two actors giving phenomenal performances couched inside a film that is very, very pretty. It's not really enjoyable to look at. And it's totally fine to just see it as that and enjoy it as that and not think a second more about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is also a film that has a tremendous amount of subtext that, if one is so inclined, they can really dig into and, like, enjoy all the ins and outs and bizarreness of it all. Which is
Right.
What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, going back to what you said, Britton, that this is a very ambiguous movie, and I agree 100%. It is a very ambiguous movie. I think the ambiguity of this movie is what makes it special. It's what makes it stand out.
Yeah, no, I think Taheg makes a good point about perception, because, you know, who are we following in the movie? We're following Winslow, right? So we're kind of seeing his perception as he starts losing his mind, basically. And it just becomes more skewed.
Mm-hmm.
very much so, yeah.
And, I mean, Wake is... I question his sanity as well, because I don't know what the fuck he's doing. But either he's like some sort of god. I don't think he's a god, but he's something. Again, I think it's purgatory. My main theory is it's purgatory.
I think that's a strong theory. I mean, if that is the case, it's quite clear why Ephraim is there. He explains essentially why he would be there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think would be the reason for Wake being there?
I have no idea, really. That's the thing, because we know so little about him throughout the movie. And even when he gives parts of his backstory, we don't know if he's telling the truth. Because, you know, he lies, like, throughout the movie. So you're like...
A strong case could be made that actually, he like literally everything he tells us is a lie, and that he's just, because he's seen so many of these seconds come through, he's like, you know what, I'm just going to be a different person each time and just keep telling them random stories to see how more and more audacious bullshit I can get them to believe.
It's, you know, it's funny. It's like he's kind of like, it sounds like he's like the Joker, which is funny because he was like a big fan cat for the Joker and Robert Pattinson's Batman now.
That would be awesome. I would absolutely watch that.
Oh God. Okay. But you know, God, you know, it's just. But again, it's like we don't know all that much about Wake, and even when he lies a lot throughout the movie, or it's implied he's not telling the truth, or if he is, he's not telling the whole story. And there's even the case that he gaslights him a few times in the movie.
Oh yeah, massively.
Yeah.
But then you have to wonder, especially toward the end of the film, how much of it is Wake gaslighting Ephraim and how much of it is just Ephraim being insane and not really knowing what's going on.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a case could be made that Ephraim isn't much of a drinker. Like, from everything he says, he's not one to hold his drink. And then again, from kind of the, in air quotes, last night before the storm kicks in, from that point on, he's just hammered the entire time. How much is just him being munted and not realizing what he's done?
It's exactly. I don't know. Again, this is a very ambiguous film.
Yeah.
It's a wild movie, and it only gets crazier from here. I mean, wait, it says on Wikipedia here already he's beating his dick to the mermaid, but I didn't think that was until later.
No, early on, there is definitely some whacking early in the film.
He's beating his meat.
Yeah.
He's stroking the sausage.
Sirloin.
He's milking the eel, to quote Tyrion Lannister. Or is that what he says in that episode? I'm sorry.
Politically thematic as well.
Milk the eel.
Okay. But so yeah, we get to see the monotony of as we were talking about earlier. We get to see the monotony of going on this island, and again, it just like grates on you, and you understand, and that's kind of the magic of filmmaking, is that it can show you how characters feel. Unlike a novel or something that kind of just tells you using descriptive language. I mean, you can definitely use visual storytelling in a novel, but or you can definitely do show don't tell in novels, but in movies it's much more interesting because you don't need like words to convey how people feel. You can just show it. And luckily, Pattinson's a skilled enough actor. He can show it off, and Wake is just like, and Wake's just egging him on, like, "All right, boy, you better swab it good," while he's painting the lighthouse, and it's crazy. He's a crazy bastard.
And when he keeps kind of dropping him down a level, like,
yeah,
I've got you.
He's like, "Hey, hold it!" He's like, "Oh, it's all right. I've done this 1,000 times." He's like that guy. And like later they end up where are we at now? Cuz we got So where are we at now after the monotonous work routine? Are they at dinner again?
I believe so, yeah. Not quite to are you enjoying my lobster?
Oh god, such a man.
Good. I mean, by this point in the film, we're reaching the end of what is intended to be Ephraim's duration of stay, and he's been fighting with the gulls, and receives a dire warning not to kill the gulls.
Oh yeah, and there's this one-eyed gull who is giving Winslow a really hard time, and Winslow is just not having it. He's like staring it down. He sees one in like the thing where they get water, which is just makes me grossed out. It's like, oh, and like there's later where they like shit gets in the water, and it's like, oh my god, it's disgusting.
So wrong. But it's interesting to note. I'm slightly jumping ahead here, but it all ties together. So we have this one-eyed gull that keeps turning up and messing with Ephraim.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're told that gulls are the souls of sailors that were lost to the deep. Then later on, kind of once we're way over the cliff and everyone has just completely lost their shit, Ephraim is pulling up the lobster pot and finds a one-eyed head in there that seems to have lost the same eye. And it's kind of hinted at and sort of said that is the head of the previous second that Wake may or may not have killed. But if you have to wonder, are they trying to imply that the one-eyed gull that's like keeps messing with Ephraim is the former second that was killed off, and was he maybe in fact being like, dude, you need to get out of here or you'll end up like me?
Yeah, there's also the scene at the dinner table later where Winslow and Thomas Wake are, hanging out, and he's like, "I saw you spurring with a gull. Best leave him be." That's my impression. What do you think, guys?
It was good. I read it. 4 out of 5 lobsters.
And he's like, and then he explains, and I love this nautical like folk tales in this. It really gives you the kind. It feels authentic,
Indeed.
I'll be right back. Can you two take it on real quick while I'm... You go to the bathroom all of a sudden.
Cool. All right.
Good.
Where are we at?
We're at the dinner scene with the seagulls.
Oh, right. Yeah. dinner scene, and Willem Dafoe's character asks, like, yeah. He's like, oh, I saw you messing with that seagull. And then, yeah, with that one-eyed seagull that Wake tells him not to kill, as he believes that gulls are reincarnated sailors, and killing one would bring bad luck. One evening while dining, Wake reveals to Winslow that his previous Wiki died after losing his sanity, while Winslow reveals that he is a former timberman from Maine seeking a new trade.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back.
I also think we're at the scene where he reveals his name. Call me Wake.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
And he says, "My name's Ephraim Winslow." He's like, "Okay, Winslow." And then he tells him not to spur with the gulls.
It is worth noting that that's not. I think it's the next scene where he kills the one-eyed gull, and everything really starts going to shit. So you kind of have to wonder: was Waits right to tell Ephraim to leave the gulls alone? Because it kind of seems like once that gull died, that's when things really started to go off the deep end.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it also the scene where the shit flings back on him? Because, like...
No, that's much later.
Oh, that's much later. Okay, I thought so.
And wrong as fuck.
Yeah. But yeah, Winslow and Wake bond a little bit. And he also tells him his previous Wiki died after he fucking lost his mind. Which is nice foreshadowing, by the way, in a sense.
Yeah.
Even though they both kind of lose their minds. So the day before his scheduled departure, Winslow's kind of doing the thing, and he ends up falling. Oh yeah, there's one scene where he falls, and he, like, hits the paint, and he gets some paint on himself, and he sees that gull fucking staring at him, and he's like, that fuck.
Yeah.
But finally one day...
They've killed that gull.
But then finally, one day, he discovers a dead seagull inside of the it's called a cistern. Which bloodied the water, which is fucking disgusting, by the way. Jesus Christ, the water?
Yep.
It looked like Wake got shit. I have like a little headcanon that Wake decided to just fuck with Winslow, and he got super shit-faced, and he, like, took his shit, like, right into the like, cistern. And he told Wake, and he told Winslow to clean it up.
Honestly, I wouldn't put it past him. That sounds like exactly the kind of thing he would do. He was such a fucking troll.
What do you think, Jacob?
Oh, absolutely.
I think he would do that.
100%. Oh, yeah.
Headcanon confirmed.
So, Winslow, like, is trying to figure this damn thing out, and that gull just, like, pecks at him, and he finally just loses it. And I remember just being shocked when I first saw it. He just picks that damn thing up, and he just smashes it against the rock, and he's so mad. And you're like, damn. What do you guys think of the smashing of the gull?
Brilliant scene. Yeah, like... It kind of feels like everything up to that point has been building up, and it's been this slow, kind of ever-increasing ratcheting up of the tension. And then you have this explosive moment where he's like, fuck, and just, like, hammers this poor bird, just absolutely obliterates it, and then just drops it and is like, fuck this, I'm done, and walks out. And then the camera pans up, and you just see the wind vane slowly turning around. You're like, uh-oh, the winds, they are a-changing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I like about this movie is that it kind of subverts itself. It almost teases you with, like, potential what's going on this island, but it never gives you, like, a clear answer, which I really like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know about you guys. Oh, what were you saying, Jacob? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Back to the seagull scene. We see, Thomas Howard's character. We finally see him reaching to his breaking point, just just killing this poor seagull to death, and it's beautiful. And I know that's weird to say.
Yeah, but you, like, understand how he feels. It's very cathartic in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I know, it's a weird way to find catharsis, which is beating a poor bird to death that didn't do much to you except, mildly annoy you. But, Wenzel's gone through a lot in these 4 weeks. And, suddenly, as Taheg said, the wind just changes direction all of a sudden, and a violent storm hits the island. And this is when shit starts getting really wild. So, what do you guys think about the next scene where they're just fucking getting shit faced and the storm is just busting through, and it's just Dafoe's just like, "What have you done?" You spilled your beans. Oh wait, that's later. Anyway.
Great scene though.
But yeah, they get fucking shit faced.
Yeah, I've got to say, in any film where there's been that kind of tension between two characters, and then there's inevitably a scene where they get drunk or high or something and start partying, I can never ever relax, because all I can ever think of, and it happens every freaking time, someone is going to say something or do something or imply something that's going to end up with these two fighting. It always goddamn happens. Yeah,
and Winslow also just continues to start losing his mind. And also, is this the scene when we get the "You're fond of me" lobster?
Isn't that a bit later?
I don't know.
That's once they're deep in the drink, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like the two just start getting drunk and partying, even though they don't like each other all that much. And the storm rages through the next morning, and that ship that, Willem Dafoe's like, "Hey, it's your last day, my boy." It's like, you done it. You done good. And then a storm comes, and that ship doesn't come back, which again leads credence to my idea that this is like a sort of purgatory.
I can never leave.
Yeah.
They haven't had a chance to work through their shit yet, so they're not allowed to move on to whatever comes next.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Winslow's moving some stuff around, and this is the scene where the shit flies on him, right? And he discovers the mermaid. Oh, yeah. This is like my favorite scene where poor guy just is like, and the wind is just flying at him, and he just lets go of all the shit, and then the shit just fucking flies back on his face. And oh god, it's disgusting.
God.
And I love Robert Pattinson's Winslow's reaction is perfect. He's just stands there for a moment in shock, disgust, and then he yells, and it just cuts. I'm like, oh, it's perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, the dark comedy in this film is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is my favorite comedy of 2019.
Oh god. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm like, what type of film is this? Is it fantasy? Is it a horror movie? Is it a black comedy? Is it all of those things? I don't know. Yes.
All of the above. Yeah, it's definitely a horror, absolutely. And it's one of those things where there are certainly fantastical elements to it, but you can't tell how much of that is. It's kind of like Pan's Labyrinth. It's like, there's some definite horror vibes, but how much of the fantastical elements are actually happening and how much are just a product of the kind of broken psyche of the protagonists. So it's a very hard film to pin down, which I'm guessing is exactly how he wanted it, because this dude doesn't fuck about.
So Winslow, after getting shit flung at him, literally, he ends up noticing that a body washed up on the shore. And this is probably the creepiest scene of this movie. and he ends up discovering that it's a mermaid, and it's the most disturbing part is that Pattinson almost gets a rape vibe. Like, I have a feeling if it hadn't have gotten up and started shrieking at him and, like, mocking him, I have a bad feeling that sexual assault might have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Gross misuse of a corpse, I believe, is the legal definition there.
Yes, but the mermaid ends up getting up and just starts like shrieking at him and howling at him, and it's nuts, and the mermaid like howls and starts like laughing at him, and he ends up fleeing in terror. I also think later we see him just aggressively beating his dick, which, by the way, was real. Robert Pattinson was really beating it while they were filming it, which I'm sure was very awkward. But you know what? Robert Pattinson seems like the eccentric type, so you know what? I'm not surprised at the end of the day.
I can easily believe that was real, and it wouldn't take much to convince me that it was Pattinson's idea to do it normally. Like, but no, it's fine. I don't need to act about it. I'll whip it out. It's all good. I'm secure with who I am enough to do that.
Yeah, it's just
crazy bastard.
See, like his ass. You're just like, ugh. And he's like aggressively beating it too. You're just like, Jesus, man.
Just hate fucking himself.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh God. Ugh. Man. He gets back to the cottage and Wake is like, "What are you doing, boy?" And he's all like, "The storm spoiled the rations, and that the new ones aren't gonna arrive for a week." So the pair end up going around, and they end up unearthing a crate of the Lighthouse's, like, part of the place that has more rations, apparently. But it only has bottles of gin. Nice troll move. Oh, God. And then the next couple of days, probably one of the more entertaining parts of this movie starts. They just start raging. The storm just goes nuts, and they just start drinking, and they're drunk as all get out, and I think this is the lobster scene, and one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie.
Absolutely, yeah.
Jacob, do you want to take it from here? I know you love this scene.
Oh, boy. Yes. Finally.
I wanted you to have the stage for this. I didn't, you know.
Yeah, get ready. I mean, I warned Britton I'm going to quote the shit out of this scene.
Feel free.
Yeah. We get to this scene where they're just drunk, they're just wasted, and they are just losing their mind. And they're just saying, like, what? That's what I need! And they're all just losing their minds. And Willem Dafoe's character, he's just like, "You don't like me cooking? You're drunk. You're drunk. I know. You're drunk. You're wasted." And then Robert Pattinson's character randomly, just out of nowhere, just says, like, I want the steak. If I had a rare bloody steak, I would fuck it.
It's so good.
Such a great line.
I love it. It just came out of nowhere. That's how wasted they are.
I don't know if Eggers wrote that or if Pattinson just like ad-libbed it and Eggers just was like, "Fuck it, I like it, let's keep it in there." Either way, I think it would have worked.
True.
Oh, man. And then we get, to my favorite line in the movie. And I've asked Britton and I asked you guys before we started, "You fond of me lobster, ain't ya?" I've seen it. "You're fond of me lobster."
And he starts like, and he goes like, "Don't be such an old bitch," and he throws like a pillow at him. And he's all like, "You're drunk, boy. I know you like me lobster." Oh wow, it's raining. It's raining outside. Okay.
Oh, I hear.
Anyways, Jacob, you were saying.
Yeah. Willem Dafoe's character, he's like, "You funded me lobster. I've seen it. You funded me lobster." And then he's like, "Say it. Say it." Then Robert Pattinson's like, "I don't have to say shit." And then we get to another hilariously amazing scene where Willem Dafoe's character's like, "Let Neptune strike ye dead, Winslow. Hark! Triton! Hark!"
Yeah, and he gives, like, this dramatic dialogue about how Neptune will strike him down, and it's so good, and again, only Willem Dafoe can pull that shit off. And I'm sorry.
I don't know. I don't know why. There's just some part of me, just on a deep, like, permanent spiritual level, just loves the fact that these two guys there have been kind of bouncing back and forth between friend and foe for the whole film. And then Defoe just unleashes this, like, biblical Shakespearean rant, like, "The oceans themselves will forget thy name because you will have become naught but the sea." And there's, like, this drawing down the name of, like, 10 different gods from 100 pantheons, cursing, Ephraim's eternal soul. All because he wouldn't say that he liked the guy's lobster. Like, it's such a tiny thing. Like, of all the shit they do to each other through the whole film, like, that was the deal breaker. That was the part that made Waits be like, "No, sorry, I'm done. I need to invoke the wrath of the gods because this guy won't admit he likes my lobster." And it's so ridiculous, but I defy anyone who has spent an extended period of time with someone someone that's not family, someone that they're just kind of friends or acquaintances with, to say that is not exactly how shit would have gone down. When you spend too long with someone, it just gets to the point where the tiniest little thing, the pettiest shit that on any other day you would just shrug off, becomes the most important fucking thing in the whole world. You know what? I hate you. I don't care. Everything else done. Forget all the rest of it. You won't say you like my lobster, so I'm going to draw down the wrath of Neptune and destroy your eternal soul unless you right now admit that you like it. Like, it's just perfect. And honestly, I cannot see any other actor, alive or dead, dropping that monologue the way Dafoe did. It was just perfect. And so much that even the lighting, the way it's kind of lit from the bottom, gives him this, like, maniacal, demonic skull look as he's drawing down the wrath of the Pantheon.
Yeah, he just looks like a madman.
Frame of that. Yeah, it's one of the most perfectly shot and executed scenes in cinema history, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably my favorite scene, aside from the big monologue Robert Pattinson has later, but, that's for later. But yeah, I love this scene. I love the monologue, and it's such a nice blend between just, like, this really intense, like, Shakespearean, like, it's like Jules' big speech in Pulp Fiction before he shoots Brit. It's that kind of thing, except it's over a goddamn lobster. And then finally, Robert Pattinson's just like, "You know what? Fine, you win. I like your cooking," and he just lays down defeated. and then Wake just lays down as well, and he's, like, satisfied with himself.
So good.
Oh my god.
I mean, like, the first time I saw it in theaters, where Willem Dafoe was given that dramatic line, I was like, in my opinion, this is his best performance he's ever given. And that's saying a lot because Willem Dafoe slays it in every film that he is in. But in this film, I say this is his best performance he's ever given.
Oh yeah, he's amazing in this. I love how manic he is in the role, but I'm glad that he plays it just right to where it's not just like a sea dog stereotype. Like, It's not just like a live-action SpongeBob cartoon.
Right.
Though that does remind me, have you seen the video on YouTube where they portray the Lighthouse like SpongeBob?
Yeah.
Oh, it's hilarious. Oh, it's hilarious.
So good.
I love it.
Oh, God, it's so good. And it's funny because you're like, you know what? This would be a really fun SpongeBob episode in like a really weird, twisted way.
Absolutely.
Oh, God. And Mr. Krabs is like the... Mr. Krabs is Thomas Wake. And SpongeBob is Robert Pattinson Winslow. Oh, it's so good. I love it. So, some more montage of them just getting fucking wasted. I guess Wake wore Winslow down, because now Winslow is just all in on the drunkenness. Like, they're singing sea shanties and dancing around. There's even a scene where they're, like, slow dancing, which is, like, the most obvious homoerotic thing, which I'm sure the people will be like, oh, see? Homoerotic subtext! You know. Which, yeah, pretty much. It's
kind of hard to deny. There is a moment where they're slow dancing and they pull back and they look at each other and they're like, go on. Yeah, Dafoe is clearly up for it. And he leans in and Ephraim's like, no, he kind of pushes him away.
And then Winslow's like, what the fuck?
I'm sure that's when they start like actually physically fighting, isn't it? They start like properly punching each other.
Yeah, they start like pushing each other.
That's the thing, they start like properly hammering each other. And then the next scene is them, like it kind of cuts away and they kind of wake up on the floor with like, I think it's with weights kind of in the crook of Ephraim's arm. Like, is it just me or were they fighting to see who's top and that was them relaxing afterwards?
I have no idea. That's definitely a valid interpretation though.
The first time I watched it didn't really, but like this time I was watching it, kind of that particular interpretation of the scene hit me, and it's like, okay, that puts a new twist on this film.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean it's a wild. It's probably my favorite part of the movie again because it's them. It's these two guys just going crazy from being together.
Yeah.
Oh yes. And during this whole excursion, oh yeah, so one night Wake is like, "Get up, boy, I need to sleep. It's your turn to do whatever the fuck," and he and then he's spying on, and then he like goes up and spies on Willem Dafoe while he's sleeping. You can see his ass hanging out of his, like, jammies. And he gives, like, a good fart for, good fart for, good measure.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, spying on him, and he ends up, like, trying to steal the lighthouse key.
Yeah, that's a great scene. And he wakes up with Ephraim kind of looming over him. And they just have this weird conversation, like, yeah, this is a totally normal way to wake up. Okay, bye-bye now, you gotta get some sleep.
He's all like, what are you doing? Get out of here. And he, like, drops the key, and he, like, runs out of the room. Oh, Lord. Then, later on, while he's getting rid of the stuff again, we end up finding that lobster trap that was indicated to earlier, which has the head. A head is in there. And that's when you're like, that's the twist of the movie. Wake is like this crazy murderer guy. And, of course, Winslow is spooked by this.
Understandably.
Yep.
And ends up leaving. And, they get shit-faced drunk again. And this...
Jesus.
It seems to be like their like go-to thing in this movie.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was like they recorded it over like one just really drunk weekend and Robert Eggers like found the footage and he was just like,
That'd be awesome if that was true.
It was like, not how I expected, but this could work. Probably not, but, which, oh god, though they end up, like, cuddling or something. I forget exactly what the context. They get drunk again, or maybe it's that they're hungover and they're just, like, really, like, bad, and they're just, like, in pain. They're, like, cuddling with each other, and Winslow drops another bombshell, which, it turns out his name is not Winslow. His actual name is Thomas Howard. Drop the mic. You know, all that good stuff. And he admits the identity then he admits that when he was working as a timberman from Maine, it turns out that the actual Ephraim Winslow died in an accident. And I guess it's never really explained if Tommy or if Howard like didn't like Winslow or something like that, but he let him die basically is what he says. And when Wake is just like, "What did you do, my boy?" And he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he grabs an axe and he goes manic all of a sudden, and he starts chasing Howard around with an axe, just hobbling around. Apparently, he starts ranting about how he spilled his beans, and then he starts like chasing him around.
It's a weird fucking scene. When you get to scenes like that, I start to think like how much of this is actually happening and how much of it is just their sort of tripped out, drunk imagination. Like, there's a few moments where you're just watching it and you're like, this seems like such a bizarre kind of twist for it to occur, and I'm not 100% sure if this is really happening or if it's just like a drunken hallucination. But yeah, hard to pin down. I think that's kind of the point. So don't really hate it.
Turns out Thomas Howard, or we'll just call him Howard from now. Howard is sick of dealing with Wake's bullshit, so he tries to leave on like the little boat or a dory to get the fuck off the island because he wants nothing to do with Wake anymore. But Wake ain't having none of that shit. He just fucking grabs the axe and he just destroys it.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, he then Howard knocks him out. And then later on, Wake is like, "No, it was you who chased me and destroyed the dory." Which then, of course, this movie just subverts itself several times because you're just like, what is going on here? Again, very ambiguous movie.
Yeah, it's a film that has you question, like, are the things that they're seeing real, or is it just them hallucinating? And I love that.
So I think it's in that scene. It may have been in the scene before. They're talking, and Ephraim or Howard is like, "Oh, it's only been a couple of days since the missed ship. Maybe I should take the boat out and see if I can find them, or see if there's some food dropped elsewhere." And Tom's like, "Dude, it's been weeks. What the hell are you talking about?" Like the flow of time is very scattered in this film. Like sometimes it seems like it's been they've been there for a month, maybe an extra week. Sometimes it seems that they've been there for like an uncountable amount of time, which does kind of lead into Britton's theory about it being purgatory. Like, how long have they actually been there? Have they been kind of sheltering on this island for decades and just not realised? Or is it just they've been so munted the whole time? It's actually only been like 3 days. They've just been off their tits the whole time and can't keep track of time. It goes back to my earlier comments about perception. It's not just the perception of events or of themselves, but even the very perception of time has so completely vanished.
Yeah, I think it would have been funny if, like, the movie just ended and, like, those guys show up and they just see him fucking just utterly out of their minds. They're just completely shit-faced. And they just, like, look around and just see all the stuff just flowing around, and it's just like, well, what the hell happened here? I think that would have been a really good ending, but hey, the ending we got was pretty good too. But I think Taheg again has a point. Yeah, perception does play a lot into this movie because this film tricks you a lot. It's like, can you even trust your own judgment at this point? Is Thomas Wake just gaslighting this poor man? Or is Winslow just off his or is Howard just off his rocker? Or are they both off their rockers? I really think they're both insane.
If they weren't before they started drinking kerosene, they definitely are afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, here comes my just favorite part of the movie, discounting the big monologues. So, just like my top 10 just Darwin Award moments where they're out of alcohol, so they're like, fuck it, we're just gonna drink fucking turpentine, which is basically kerosene and honey. If that doesn't drive you fucking insane, I don't know what will. Because that just sounds like a recipe for disaster.
God, yeah.
And guess what it does? It's... Oh my god. Oh, you thought things were bad? Oh, they get even worse.
They do.
Oh my god. It's just... Oh, it's so bad. And it's like, why are you drinking kerosene? It's bad for you. You're gonna die.
It's real last-ditch shit. Like, you're completely out of everything else. You've lost your goddamn mind.
Yeah, I mean, and they're both just manic at this point. They're just fucking binge drinking the turpentine. Oh my god. And the honey. Which is just... I don't know why, but that it doesn't piss me off, but I'm just like, oh god, this is gonna be a disaster.
It's all downhill from here, folks. Strap in.
And spoiler alert, it is downhill from here. Oh my god, it's so while they're getting shit-faced again and probably going to die soon, the storm just completely wrecks the cottage. In the meantime. And the next morning, Howard just gets up and he is just a wreck. And he gets up and looks around and finds Wake's logbook, which he'd been asking about throughout the movie. And Wake is just like, no. Because he's... No. So then he ends up looking around and he ends up seeing that, like, Wake is just shitting on him the whole time. He's just saying he's a drunk and he's bad at his job and tells him to get sacked without pay. Which again goes back to just the, like, yeah, Wake isn't, Howard is not meant to be trustworthy, but Wake isn't very trustworthy either. It's like, because, again, the perception thing, it's like, who's telling the truth? What the hell is going on? What are we going to do here? It's going to suck. And Howard finally just fucking blows up at Wake, which again goes back to one of my favorite. This is actually this is tied between the Hark Triton Hark scene for like my favorite part of the movie, because Robert Pattinson just gives one of the best like monologues ever. I love his monologue here. I don't know why. Again, it doesn't even feel like acting anymore. It just feels like a crazy guy just going off on another crazy guy.
Yeah.
And just all the creative insults he comes up for Wake are great.
So good.
He calls him, like, smelly tooth, and he's, like, sick of him and his goddamn farts. His goddamn farts! Oh, it's so good. And it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love that he goes on this, like, epic rant, just taking apart everything about this guy's soul. And then the camera cuts to Wake, and he's just sitting there, and he's like, "You've got a way with words, lad."
Yeah.
To take the fucking wind out of his sail, man. Like, you couldn't even let him have that. You couldn't show an ounce of contrition. You're just like, yeah, that's some fancy words you got there, bud. Good job.
And he's all like, "You think you're so high and mighty because you're a goddamn lighthouse keeper?" So good. I think Jacob was saying something. Were you saying something, Jacob?
Oh, no, yeah. It's so good. Like, Pattinson's monologue here, like, he's proven all the haters wrong that, like, oh, he's not a good actor. He was in Twilight. Just watch The Lighthouse and watch his monologue. He is a phenomenal actor. He is truly an excellent actor. Like, he quickly became one of my favorite actors ever after seeing him in Good Time and in The Lighthouse. He's phenomenal here.
Oh, yeah, he's great. He's great. And, I mean, he's not better than he was here, because he is just phenomenal. And he just lets Wake have it. And Wake just fucking... And apparently, like, with that old camera, it wouldn't have worked without, like, a big light. So if they had to light the scene, they had to, like, have a really big light, apparently. Like, a really big red light. And apparently, Willem Dafoe is, like, red hair for the movie, so, you know, that kind of worked out. But Wake is just not very sympathetic to his situation. And just, like, mocks him and just says, boo, boo. And he starts, like, I don't know, he starts, like, criticizing him and saying he's, like, a bitch or something. I forget exactly what he says to him, but... It pisses Howard off enough to where he finally just starts fucking beating the crap out of Wake. And if you didn't think that Winslow / Howard was already losing his damn mind, well, he's lost it at this point. Probably from the kerosene that you two crazy bastards drank.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You crazy fuckers. I'm not letting that go, by the way. I'm not letting them live that one down.
Please don't.
Do not.
So he ends up hallucinating. He sees the mermaid who starts, like, caressing his face. Then he sees the real Winslow. And then he sees, like, Wake is this, like, squid moss. He looks like Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, a little bit.
Or Triton.
Or Triton, yes. But finally, Howard just beats the living hell out of Wake. And finally just... Then here comes just the weirdest scene of this movie, which, you know, you kind of expect in movies like this. But he ends up wrapping the noose around his neck and, like, pulls him around like a dog. Which kind of goes back to that motif about power, you know, in, like, you know, masculinity. All that fun stuff.
Yeah.
All those fun, hefty themes. Ow. Ow. Hey, ow, ow, ow. Hey. Sorry, my cat bit me.
Establishing dominance again.
It tends to be kind of a recurring thing on this show. My cat comes in and then she'll just, like, bite me. So, thank you, Kitty. I appreciate you. So he starts burying them in the hole that they got the, like, rations out of, the gin that they had out of there, and he starts burying them alive. And then Wake just curses Howard out. And it's one of those scenes where you're not sure if you should laugh or you should be disturbed. Or maybe both. I have no idea.
Absolutely both.
And Wake just lets Howard have it. He's like, I hope you die, and I hope you have a Promethean fate, to quote the movie.
I really love that scene.
Oh, yeah, it's so good. And he, like, buries him in that hole. I love how Wake isn't even trying to resist. He just starts cursing him out. That's all he can do at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And Howard ends up taking that key. She's like, I want to see what's in that lighthouse. And right about as he's about to go up there, Wake, the crazy bastard, freed himself in the process and ends up striking Howard with the axe that he had earlier. But Howard ends up disarming Wake and ends up just murdering him. So, yeah, there you go.
And it's beautiful.
Oh, God, yes.
It really is, yeah.
He just fucking lets him have it. And, he ends up going to the lighthouse, and he's like, oh, boy, buddy. And he ends up ascending into the Lighthouse. And as he does, he ends up going into the lantern room, and he ends up opening the lens. And Howard reaches in, and just this weird, bizarre scene of him just violently screaming, and it starts like distorting, and then he ends up like slipping and falling down the steps. Which, you know, that's when the film becomes the most ambiguous, because you're like, wait, now what's going on? Hold on.
Literal and figurative descent into madness.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Which, if you didn't think that Promethean fate was a bit of foreshadowing, it turns out that it was. And then we see Howard just lying around while a sea shanty, which, by the way, is a fucking earworm, I gotta say. That song's a fucking earworm, man.
It is, yeah.
And so the movie ends with Howard just lying on his back naked on the rocks with a damaged eye, which is a nice reference to earlier. I just... Son of a bitch, I just caught that. Anyway. Wait a minute. So, was that seagull with the one eye... Was that Howard?
Was it Howard? Was it the first guy? Like, there's so many eye-injured seagulls here. It's like, who the fuck is who? What is going on? The whole thing is this kind of twisting, encircled loop of ridiculousness. Like, we can't know who was what and what was going on. Like, does any of this actually matter? Is it just the film fucking with us? Is this all insane foreshadowing? Like, what the hell is going on? But even then, like, you know, you got Howard lying there with his guts fanned out like a freaking fish's tail. He's a mermaid. Like,
Yeah.
What the hell is going on?
Yeah, I forgot to mention another scene I really like is when naked Willem Dafoe, like, stares those like, lights in his eyeballs, and he, like, stares into Robert Pattinson's soul. Apparently it's based off of a painting. But I really like that scene.
Same.
Me too.
Anyways, back to the end of this damn movie. So Howard somehow, he lies naked on the rocks with a damaged eye as a flock of seagulls just peck at his just exposed entrails, and the sea shanty is playing. And that's the end of the movie.
Great freaking ending.
Oh, what? Oh, God. Like, I remember I texted Jacob or I something of the effect, and I was just like, what was that?
That was the greatest goddamn film you're going to see in 2019. That's what that was.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a great film, and it's great on the rewatch too. I think it's one I
really
would recommend
is, yeah.
people to rewatch, because if you did, I mean, I really liked it the first time, or I quite liked it the first time. Then I saw it again, and I loved it the second time. But I will happily admit I still have no idea what the hell is going on here. Is this just the fever dream of dying Robert Pattinson? Like, did Wake murder him? Is this purgatory? Who fucking knows? But all I know is I was thoroughly entertained watching this movie. Well, I know my interpretation is I think it's purgatory, but what do you guys think this movie is? I want to hear this. What do you guys think?
Do you want to go first, Jacob?
What do you think, Jacob?
I think at its core, it's about these two characters just having to deal with each other for about initially a week, but it ends up being a month, and you're just seeing them losing their minds. And we don't know if what they've seen is just, if it's real or if it's just them hallucinating because they're just losing their mind. This film is just like, it's like a magic trick that never ends. And I love that about this film. It's a big question mark. It has you question on like, was all that shit happening real, or was that them hallucinating? and just seeing these characters get to their breaking point. It's magnificent.
Yeah, it's also it's just a fun movie too. Like it's fun to watch. It's fun to dissect the theories about what the hell is going on here, and it's fun to watch these two great actors just fucking go off on each other.
Yeah, clearly having the time of their lives. Yeah, but I think at its heart, this film is like deeply, deeply Lovecraftian. It's why I think that actually there is no kind of greater meaning behind a lot of what happens. And really, this film is about the dangers of isolation. It's about taking two people who maybe aren't the most stable beings in the universe, putting them in a situation where they have very little food and very little to do except get drunk and fight each other. And just like forcing them to spend months on end possibly together in this incredibly confined environment until they both just snap. And I think a lot of what we see isn't really happening, and it's just them losing their shit. That's why I love the ending so much, like the final scene where he climbed up the lighthouse, because he swings open, or the lantern swings itself open, and it's like, what's in there? What greater mystery is he seeing? What is the grand revelation behind it all? Mm-hmm. It's just nothing. He opens the door, and it's just a freaking lamp. There is no greater mystery to this all. It's just two people going batshit insane because they spent too much time locked together with no way to distract themselves and no relief except for alcohol. And it's all so kind of twisted in. It's a masterpiece of kind of the human psyche and what extreme reactions you get under extreme circumstances. And I just absolutely love it. And it's like, as a film, it's like, when it's pared down that much, it's like serving a fucking creme brulee in the MasterChef finale. There is nowhere to hide. It's one small set, two actors giving perfect performances. There's no kind of fancy tricks to hide behind. If either of their performances had been anything but perfect, the film would have been terrible. But you get two of the best actors of their respective generations delivering career-defining performances, and it's just perfect. Like, there's nothing I would change about this film, except possibly to wipe it from my memory so I can watch it again for the first time, because I love it so much.
Yeah, and back to the Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson's performance. Since this film is so claustrophobic and so isolated, like, you feel trapped in this film. Not just from the ratio, and like, you feel like you've been there for like decades. Like, we don't know like how long they've been there, and it's a film that relies on their performances, and it's magnificent. Like, and the atmosphere of it is so ugly, like and so disturbing and murky and just relentless. And it's Robert Eggers clearly has a love for film, and seeing like this is the first film I've seen him tackle on. I have yet to see The Witch, and I really want to. But
it's amazing.
Yeah, I definitely want to check it out soon. But The Lighthouse, I am impressed on what he has done with this film. It's a film that I see myself rewatching more and more times. It's a bizarre masterpiece, as I said. And as I said, this film is just like a magic trick that never ends. It has you question, like, was it real or was it not of what they were seeing? It's a masterpiece, and it was my favorite film of 2019. It's a wholly original film. It's artsy, but not too artsy, as I said, where it's just pretentious. There isn't an ounce of pretentiousness in this film.
Yeah.
It's a film that was directed by a guy who clearly loves film. It doesn't feel mainstream or, nothing like that. It feels, this film is the reason why I love film.
I mean, I couldn't have said it better. I mean, It's hard for me to say which one I like more from this and The Witch. I am more privy to The Witch because I have like a weird interest in the Puritan time. I just love the costumes and their weird beliefs actually the fantasy series I'm working on is based very much in that. So there you go. But this film is really good. I like going to the lake and sailing and stuff like that. So this film was a lot of fun for me in that part. But I love how this film almost makes you feel like you're going insane alongside these characters. Because it just fucks with you so much throughout the movie. It's like, it's maddening almost. I think it's the best way to describe this. It'll drive you insane uh, alongside the characters. But it's kind of a good thing. It drives you crazy and then makes you say thank you for it.
Absolutely.
It's a great way to phrase it.
And it's really weird, but I love it.
It's also
Absolutely.
a perfect movie. It's also a perfect movie to watch alone in your room in the dark on a cold, rainy day.
Yeah, you know what? After hearing it thundering, I kind of want to watch it again because I forgot to watch it again. What's wrong with me? I don't know. But I will say I quite enjoyed this movie, and it also solidified Robert Eggers as someone to look out for. I mean, this dude slaps.
Absolutely, yeah. And given his kind of focus on kind of accuracy and thematic accuracy and historical accuracy, I'm really excited to see what he can do with the Viking era in the Norsemen. Because there's so much kind of mythology now surrounding the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see a more kind of stripped down, historically accurate version of their tale with Eggers' kind of fantastical twists. It's gonna be fun seeing how he balances those two.
Oh yeah. But before we finish up our talk about the Lighthouse, what do you got? What's like your lasting thoughts on the Lighthouse before we talk about other things?
It's a fucking bizarre movie. It is weird, but I love it. Willem Dafoe, I think, gives his best performance he's ever given. Robert Pattinson just showed once again that he is an amazing actor, and he has proven all the haters wrong. I mean, he's went from Harry Potter and to having sparkling skin to being in Good Time, being in a Lighthouse, and now he's playing the Dark Knight. And I'm proud of Robert Pattinson because he's proven all the haters wrong. And I still, even after seeing the Batman, I still think the Lighthouse is his best performance. Like, he is magnificent.
Easily, yeah.
Oh
Robert
God.
Robert Eggers is phenomenal here, and just go watch this film. It's not for everyone, but if you love films, go watch The Lighthouse.
Oh yes.
I would say if you're a fan of the theatre, consider The Lighthouse because it's got a very theatrical feel to it due to the constricted scope. But I have to agree, like, obviously, I saw the Batman, loved the Batman. He was great in that. But I hope he doesn't get too... I know there's a lot of talk about that becoming a trilogy. I hope he doesn't get too kind of dragged into the Hollywood machine and stop doing films like this, like Good Time, like High Life. And he's done a lot of kind of quite intricate, interesting, smaller films. And I really hope we don't lose that when people start to realize that he's an amazing actor and try to kind of push him more into the leading man role, when really he is, in my opinion, he shines best in the more kind of character-driven roles.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern. I don't want him, to be like, we'll put him in every big Hollywood film. Like, I mean, even though Pattinson is my favorite Batman, I want him to do more indie films. But you can like do a couple of Hollywood stuff. If you're really like attached to like if you're attached to the project that you want to do, then that's fine. But don't do it just for the sake of it because like, I'm a big actor now because I played Batman. No, like, do more indie stuff, because I think you really shine doing the more smaller indie type of films, like The Lighthouse or Good Time.
I mean, all I can say is that, yeah, this film is, like I said, a fever dream of a movie. It's really hard to define, but I loved it. I loved every second of it. For them, it's a beautiful movie, a beautiful film.
Same.
Mwah. I'd kiss it if I could. But yeah, this movie is really hard. It's really hard to describe in so many words, because it's like, oh man. And it's not even that hard to, like, it's not like it's, like, super artsy and, like, oh, you're too dumb to get it. I mean, there is a little bit of that, probably, for me, but, yeah, this film is kind of, this film's just weird. That's all I can say. I kind of liked it. It's weird.
I think its weirdness is one of its greatest strengths.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
as we said, quite close to the start, there's a lot of ambiguity to this film. It's one of those things. Like, I mean, I hate to keep bringing it up, but he's one of my favorite authors and least favorite people. Like, it is all very Lovecraftian in that a lot of the film is kind of through implication. Like, there is no wrong way to view this film. Is it, a fantastical, demonically inspired horror film? Possibly. Is it a really repressed homosexual romance? Little bit. Is it a psychological thriller about the humanity pushed to the limits of its mental endurance? Absolutely. All these disparate facts are true, and each one being true doesn't take away the truth of the others. Like, it's all very much woven into the film, so you can really interpret it however you choose to. It's like, because it's so simple, it allows the performance and it allows the viewer to kind of see the film how they choose, which I think is why there's such a heavy emphasis on perception, because really what you choose to see is what is there, and that's quite a feat.
Indeed, yes. I was gonna say, like Taheg said earlier, it does feel very much like a stage play in a lot of ways, because it's just these two guys hanging out and kind of going crazy. I mean, I know that Robert Eggers and his brother who wrote it were inspired by guys like Samuel Beckett, who wrote stuff, who was very existential and very male-centric. Basically stuff like this that we're talking about right now. And yeah, I do love the kind of theater way that this movie is made, because you could almost make it into a stage play.
Absolutely, yeah.
Indeed.
But yeah, there's The Lighthouse. If you don't mind, I would like to talk about some other stuff before we exit this fine day.
I'm up.
Okay. Well, I can say for a fact that we all saw Batman, the Batman that just came out. And all I'll say, I did get some salt on Twitter, or not Twitter, on Facebook for this, but I think it is the best Batman live-action film, I'll say, live-action Batman film since The Dark Knight and Batman Begins. And Batman
that's I would definitely agree to that. I'd say it's definitely my favourite Batman origin movie that we've seen.
And I also love that it doesn't it doesn't I wouldn't say it redefines Batman, but it does give him a new angle to play in. We finally get a detective story too. Like, I always never got it. Why can't they have a detective Batman movie? Like, he's the world's greatest detective, right? We'll let him detect some stuff. And we finally get to see him do that. And it's well done for the most part. I gotta say, I really, really, really like this movie. Do I have some issues with it? I have some nitpicks, and I do think the ending is a bit stretched out, but it did live up to the hype for me.
For me, like, personally, I think this is the perfect Batman movie. A perfect film, in my opinion. you know what, I'm probably going to get hate for this, but I don't care. Yes, I mean, I had no problems. Maybe it was a tad bit too long, and I do agree the ending did. It did take a minute to end, but everything from the story, from Pattinson as Batman, from all the actors who did a phenomenal job, to Dano's Riddler, I was mesmerized by this film from beginning to end. It's a very bleak and thrillingly ambitious film that understood the character of Batman, and it was an origin story, but not in the whole like, oh, his parents died. In my opinion, this was sort of a coming of age story.
Oh yes, very much so. I'd agree with that.
Sort of a coming of age story of him trying to be the Batman that Gotham needs him to be. And Pattinson, I mean, I've said this on here. I mean, you can admit, Britton knows. I've defended him. The moment they announced he was going to be Batman.
Oh, I did too.
I was ecstatic.
I did too.
I was ecstatic. I was like, yes. And I told Carlton, Keaton used to be my favorite live-action Batman, but I've said this on here a couple of times, that when Pattinson does his thing, he's going to replace Keaton's spot. And what do you know he did? Pattinson is my favorite Batman. He proved all the haters wrong, and he was phenomenal as Batman. Overall,
he was.
Indeed, he was. I would say second best Pattinson performance. The Lighthouse is still his best performance by far, without a doubt. But the Batman, it felt like I was watching Seven all over again, but with Batman.
Oh, yes. There were a lot of Seven vibes, particularly with the atmosphere that made me want to take a shower by the time the movie was over.
Oh, God.
Very much so.
I was very pleased. We'll put it right now. As a Batman fan, I was very pleased with it. And finally, a Batman movie, a live-action Batman movie. I again, put that into context. That felt like a Batman movie. Like, finally. And that's not to disrespect Nolan, and it's not to disrespect, Tim Burton. Because I love Batman 89, and I love the Dark Knight trilogy. Mostly just the Dark Knight. I mean, Batman Begins and the Dark Knight Rises are really good, too. Though Dark Knight Rises is kind of the Spider-Man 3 of the trilogy. But,
let's be fair here. Dark Knight Rises is a good film for one reason, and one reason alone. Tom Hardy's Bane voice.
I was about to say, yep, he's great. He's great in that. He's my favorite part of the movie.
Absolutely. Like, the rest of the film is actually a little bit weak, but Tom Hardy's Bane voice is brilliant. Someone swapped my venom with helium. His whole voice in that film is inexplicable and brilliant. The rest of the film is decidedly average.
I would agree.
I would say it's thematically strong, but there's a lot of the little, detail, or maybe it's nitpicky, but there's some of the plot elements that just don't make a lot of sense.
I can see what they were trying to do. I just don't think they stuck the landing.
It's like, I mean, passing up the dark, or following up the Dark Knight is a very difficult task. And with what they did with the Dark Knight Rises, I think they did a good job for the most part. But, it's just not comparable to the Dark Knight. I mean, Dark Knight is a long movie, but it is tight from the very beginning all the way to the end.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that's what I love about it. I mean, it's tight and it flies despite how long it is. And the same thing with The Batman. I mean, The Batman I thought was a pretty tight film up until the end. It flew along.
Yeah, see,
consistently suspenseful. Sorry.
This is where I need to air a dissenting opinion.
Yeah.
First off, just lay the groundwork. Loved The Batman. Pattinson, amazing. Kravitz, amazing. Farrell, unrecognizably
Oh, he's unbelievable.
amazing.
He's unbelievable.
Holy shit. So good. Turturro, a name that doesn't get mentioned anywhere near enough. Phenomenal.
Oh, he was fantastic.
And I've seen a lot of people talking a lot of praise for the Batman. One name which is not getting nearly enough mention and needs to be shouted from the fucking rooftops. Michael Giacchino's score.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Masterclass in scoring for films. It is one of the most perfectly realized film scores I have ever heard in a movie. And I watch a lot of films, and a lot of them have great music, but the music in the Batman and the way that it's used to enhance the scenes is unmatched.
It's so good.
The first 2 hours of this film are stunningly good. I was almost crying. I was loving it so much. It's just this tense, taut, dark, noir crime thriller, and it's everything I had hoped that Matt Reeves was going to do with Batman. It is Batman, the world's greatest detective, dropped into this stunningly beautiful but horrifically grim Gotham City that just has stepped right off the comic page and looks exactly how you want it to look in your worst nightmares. Because let's be fair here, Gotham is a shithole. And it looks like a shithole, but in the best possible way. And there's this really tense cat and mouse game between Batman and the Riddler, and literally everyone in Gotham is dragged into this war in some way or another. And then for no fucking reason, the last 40 minutes just completely throw all that out the window. I know a lot of people seem to point to, for me, speaking personally, the last kind of 30 to 40 minutes after the obvious point that I don't need to say because everyone that's seen the film will know exactly what I mean, and everyone that won't should go and see the film. But the last kind of chunk, the last arc, just doesn't feel necessary to me. I don't understand why it was there. And for me, it completely ruins the feel of the film. I don't understand why they needed to throw in this kind of gaudy, over-the-top, quite badly choreographed action set piece.
Oh, I thought you just meant the flood. I'm like, well, I think the flood is understandable, but I can see where you're coming from, but I
don't think it didn't feel necessary. A lot of people have been comparing this film to Return of the King with all the false endings, and I go,
oh yeah,
this is a very strong comparison. I made a similar comparison myself, and I really don't see why it was there. There was a very clear point they could have ended it, and in my opinion, should have ended it, and it would have been a really great kind of slightly over 2 hours sort of detective thriller that would have set up a really great universe going forward. There was a lot of kind of Court of Owls-esque stuff, a lot of Murphyverse adjacent themes that I think would have set a really strong grounding for the rest of the trilogy. You have to remember, considering how strong the opening weekend has been, they're going to just throw money at Reeves and say, make us more films, because whatever you're doing, it works. So we're going to get his whole lot. This is just the first part of a potentially 3-part story. And I feel like if they'd left it at the obvious points, it would have been a solid grounding for a whole new Bat universe.
I'd say it is,
but
actually. I'd say it is.
It absolutely still is, but instead we have a really solid grounding and then a really dodgy, unnecessary action set piece that didn't, in my opinion, add anything to the film and just undercut the tone of the preceding 2 hours. Don't know where that came from. Sorry about that.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. I can see. I didn't really have any issues from it. Now, it's funny because I saw, it just has it's kind of like Return of the King. It takes a minute to end, and there's a couple of fake outs, which, there are a couple of those, and that's that's really my only issue with the movie. Aside from maybe, some questions, but I think if I see it again, it might give me some more context. I told Taheg, I might do this, really radical thing. It's called seeing it again. I was trying to make him laugh, but he was like, yes, that's a good idea. I definitely want to see it again, too. But,
absolutely.
Mostly my issue, it's just kind of an unanswered question, is where did the Riddler get that information? But, and what is his role in it? Which is explained in the movie a little bit, but, I bet it might be explained in, the next movie. It's kind of like a lingering mystery.
100%.
Or that's at least, either that's what I think so, or, maybe it's just they're expecting, maybe it's just a suspension of disbelief. He's just really, really smart, and he figured it out. I don't know. But I loved it. most of the way through. And for me, if it were me, I would have ended it where Batman talks about being a symbol of hope rather than fear. Because even with the action set piece with the Riddler group, the action isn't bad at all. Or I thought the action was pretty good. And I thought it works well for the thematic theme of Batman turning from the symbol of fear and vengeance into the symbol of justice and hope. Or that's what I got. Because at first when I was sitting through, I'm like, well, Batman, really strong, but like, what's his arc in this movie? Because, But then after a while, when I started watching, I'm like, oh, and it kind of came together. I'm like, it's his journey from being just an angry vigilante into, something more.
Journey from vigilante to hero.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of explores the psychology of Batman in that way. And every Batman has a strength, I think. Keaton really nailed the dichotomy between Bruce Wayne and Batman, almost like they're two separate personalities. Bale, I pick on his Batman a lot. It's fine, but I think he was a way better Bruce Wayne. And I think one of the strengths I thought about recently, I was thinking about this, I think he captures the compassionate nature of Batman very well in the Nolan movies.
Yeah.
And Pattinson,
I can see that.
I think Pattinson captures the just obsessive, driven, vigilante part of Batman. He also captures the detective part of Batman very well. And I also find that his Batman, he's just effortlessly intimidating. Like, he's not Bale where he's like really trying hard to like intimidate with that voice. He just has that. Yeah. It's basically the better Christian Bale voice, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Though I will say, Christian Bale's voice in Batman Begins, I thought was perfect. Like, the voice was subtle. In The Dark Knight, it was passable, but in The Dark Knight Rises, it sounded like he was deep-throating a BBC.
I was about to say, in Begins, it's not that bad. It's not bad. In Dark Knight, it's like, okay, I can deal with this because this movie's fucking awesome. And, Dark Knight is still my favorite superhero film of all time. And Dark Knight Rises is just...
I was talking to Carlton about it, and the first time I watched it, where he was yelling, "Where's the trigger?"
Yeah.
I thought he said, "Where's the trailer?"
Yeah. Though I will say Dark Knight Rises, I love Bane in that film. Probably my favorite portrayal of Bane. I don't give a shit what anyone says. Probably my favorite live-action portrayal of Bane so far.
Okay, if we add the caveat live action, then yeah, definitely. But if we're talking all time, I have a soft spot for the animated Harley Quinn version of Bane, who's just an absolute moron. I find him very funny.
Oh, I haven't seen the Harley Quinn show. I know.
You
I know,
absolutely need to see
I know.
the
I
Harley
need
Quinn
to
show.
see it. I need to see it.
So funny.
But yeah, the Batman was mostly everything I hoped for. I mean, I think if they had just ended it with Batman as a symbol of hope and then had that other scene as the post-credit, I would have been like, okay, we're good. And if I were thinking of this on like an objective sense, I would probably give it a 4.5 out of 5. But if I were like talking about it, like just how it made me feel and just like, this is great, I would give it like a 5. Like, it was great. I really enjoyed this movie.
The first 2 hours are an absolute, like, 6 out of 5. Everything I wanted, delivered perfectly, shot beautifully, great action, amazing music, brilliant performances, and then there's the last 40 minutes.
Well, what would you give it? Is it like a 4 out of 5 for you, or is it like a 4.5 out of 5?
Yeah, I'd say it's kind of. I was going out of 10 because it gives me
a
bit
you're going
more
out of 10?
leeway.
Okay.
I'd say it's like a 7.5 out of 10.
All right. Okay.
Maybe an 8. And if I kind of think about it objectively, it's a solid 8 out of 10.
Mm.
But just the disappointment in that last part knocks off half a point.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jacob?
For me, I have to see it again just to see if I think it's my favorite Batman movie ever. Just take it with a grain of salt. I have to see it again. But, like, this is the Batman movie that I wanted to see. I agree with Ty. Like, the first 2 hours, phenomenal. Like, it is a bleak, a grim and gritty film. And the thing I love about it is that it feels like a film. Like, I know I'm going to piss people off when I say this, but whatever. As much as I love most of the MCU films, they do feel like SNL skits, just to quote High Tops. I do agree.
You know, I think SNL skit, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think SNL skit's a little hyperbolic, but I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I don't know what better way to say it, but yeah, I would say that's the best way to say it, just to quote High Tops. But this one feels like a film. Matt Reeves actually said that he wasn't going to do this film if he wasn't going to have 100% creative freedom. And he did. And it really shows. It feels like a film that Matt Reeves made. And the whole atmosphere of the film, the whole tone, it is, as I said, it's gritty and it's a very ambitious film. And just from the cinematography, this is the best looking Batman film ever, without a doubt. In my
100,000%. Yeah.
The cinematography is phenomenal. Like, I doubt it'll get an Oscar nomination because the Oscars suck, but if it does, 100% deserved for a nomination. Like, the cinematography it's some of the best I've seen in a superhero film in general. Might be the best, honestly. But going from Giacchino's score, outstanding. Like, I would say Danny Elfman's theme will always be my favorite score for Batman. Every time I think of Batman, I think of Elfman's score. But Giacchino's score, like, second favorite. It's like a mixture of being bleak while also being epic and manly. Like, very masculine and very brooding and very somber. And Giacchino, I mean, like, there's a reason why that guy gets a lot of work, because he is a phenomenal film composer.
Yeah, he's quickly become one of my favorites these past couple of years.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah, mine too.
Williams, and McCreary are my holy trinity of composers.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, 100%. I agree on that. But I'd say this is probably his best score, because I was actually listening to it yesterday. That's how good the score is. And just from the entire cast, Andy Serkis was awesome as Alfred.
I kind of wanted him as Penguin, but he was great as Alfred. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I agree. He was a great Alfred. Colin Farrell, unrecognizable.
Oh, my God, he was unbelievable.
Not just from how he looks, like the voice. I don't know how that voice is coming out of Colin Farrell. Like, honestly, Colin Farrell, he's a way better actor than he gets credit for. Like,
oh, yeah. He's great in Bruges.
I was when I was walking back from the cinema, I went to see it with my brother, and we were talking about it. Like, I watched The Gentleman, the newish Guy Ritchie film.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty good.
Before, which he's in as well. And seeing him in that, and then seeing him the next day in The Batman, it's like, he needs so much more respect than he actually gets. Like, watch The Gentleman, watch The Batman, watch In Bruges. Like, the dude can do anything.
Don't watch Killing of a Sacred Deer, though.
Yes, watch Killing of a Sacred Deer. He's brought in The Lobster as well.
Oh, yeah. Another great film and a great performance from Colin Farrell. For me, Colin Farrell, he's just like, he's in the category of, in like Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt, where I think they're underrated on how great of actors they are. But he was phenomenal as the Penguin. And Zoe Kravitz was amazing as Catwoman. I love the relationship and the banter between Batman and Catwoman.
The chemistry was top-notch.
Oh, absolutely. I also love the simplicity of her mask. Like, it felt very realistic. Not in the Nolan way where it's, like, ultra-realistic. Like, this is, like, it's a very grounded film. I would say it's realistic in a comic booky way. The simplicity of her mask where she just, like, you know, finds this, like, ski mask and just cuts it up, and there you go. I love that. Who else? Oh, Paul Dano as Riddler. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. But I think he's right behind Ledger's Joker as far as being scary and just, like, being crazy. Like,
Absolutely.
I was terrified. Even from the opening scene. It was like a jump scare. We first are introduced to Riddler. I was like, holy shit. I literally jumped from my seat. Almost. I was like, oh.
Same.
And I also loved how he set up his like little game that he was playing. It felt like I was watching Seven.
Yeah, I mean, to give my kind of thoughts on that, I really liked Paul Dano. He played it just right to where, which is really my biggest strength with this movie, is that it feels grounded enough, but it also feels comic booky enough, where it's fun, but it's also really suspenseful all the way through, and I loved it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but the Batman was excellent. I also like how the Riddler's motivation is kind of blurry as well. Like, he gives an idea on why he did it, but it feels like he's holding back more that he's not saying. Can't entirely trust what he's saying.
It definitely feels like that is not the end of his arc. There is definitely more to come from the Riddler.
Indeed. I also believe that as well. Another movie I wanted to talk about is the next Robert Eggers film, The Northman.
Yes.
Wanted to talk about that real quick, or at least a little bit. I definitely want to see that when it comes out in theaters, and I saw the trailer.
Absolutely,
I don't know if you guys saw the trailer, or well, I know Jacob did, but did you see the trailer,
many times?
Oh yeah, the trailer is phenomenal.
Oh my god, one of the best trailers of the year.
Yeah.
That and like the Batman are like just thing, and it on the one hand it kind of sucks that my two most anticipated movies are coming out so early, but at the same time I am also glad that they're coming out so early so I can see them.
Yeah, this is definitely one that I think is going to need to be seen in the cinema, because as we've just spent 2 hours talking about, Eggers is such a phenomenal director for his kind of scene choice, his scene setup, and I've not actually seen any of his films in the cinema though, so this one looks like it's going to be his most visually stunning film to date, so I have to make sure to see this on the big screen so I can really enjoy it.
Oh yeah, and he's also loading up, man. He's got fucking Nicole Kidman, Alexander Skarsgård. They got fucking A24 power couple. They got Ralph Fiennes and Kate Dickie back. They got Anya Taylor-Joy. Ethan Hawke is the most underrated actor of all time, in my opinion. In my opinion, don't get salty at me, Taheg.
Why would I?
Oh, it sounded like you were grunting, like you were disagreeing, like.
Oh no, I was reaching for something.
Oh,
absolutely, yeah. Like I can't think of. He's definitely up there. I think is it Sinister, the film he's in, where he finds the tapes in the attic?
Oh yeah. I think so.
Great fucking movie. Oh, scared the shit out of me.
Apparently Robert Eggers is co-writing it with someone who I'm not even gonna try and spell and say that name. It's called like Sejan or something. I apologize. Don't assassinate me, Iceland. Thank you. But this is quite a change of tone from The Lighthouse and The Witch, because Robert Eggers has become known for making weird horror films or weird films like The Witch, which is excellent, by the way. Jacob, better see that movie. I will punish you.
Well, I'm still gonna punish you for all the films that you should see. It's tomorrow.
I know. I need to see
Oh,
it.
dude, tomorrow's great.
Oh man, I know. I have it right here. I need to see that soon.
You do.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to see The Witch when I can.
Oh yeah. It's all right. But but yeah, The Northman looks like it's very different from what he's done before, which I respect. That's what my favorite director.
It's billed as a revenge thriller, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Viking revenge thriller, and I'm like,
hell yeah, it's a great combo.
Oh my god, and I'm like, Vikings means Norse. There's like a mysticism in the movie. Oh fuck yes, take my money right now. Just take it. Just take it.
Yep.
Just take it right now. Just right now. Anyways, Anyways, I'm very excited for this movie.
Oh yeah, my most anticipated film of the rest of the year.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
most definitely. I mean, I also saw a trailer for Everywhere, or is it like Everything Everywhere All at Once, something like that.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Another A24 film.
Which actually looks like fun. I saw a trailer for it in the theaters when I was seeing the Batman on Friday.
So a trailer for Top Gun, which looks like shit.
My dad, my dad and I kind of want to go see that and just see how it is, but I don't know.
I'll let you take that one.
Oh yeah, like last night I was talking to Taheg about some movie. I forgot what it was, but he was like, "Oh shit, I didn't even go see it." And I'm like, "Damn you! You were lucky. I was fooled." It was some movie. I don't remember.
What was that?
I also saw The Kingsman, which sucked. Oh boy.
Oh my god, that film is terrible.
Oh, I dry heaved.
Jesus Christ, that film sucked worse than any film has ever sucked.
I don't know about that, but it was pretty bad.
It was so goddamn bad.
God, it was horrible.
Oh god, this talk about a contrived fucking movie. Ugh. I'm dry heaving thinking about it. It's what my dad's like. Oh, this movie looks fun, and I'm like, this movie doesn't look that good. But you know what? I'll humor my dad on this one. And
So glad I saw it on freaking Disney Plus and didn't pay for it. I would have been pissed.
it's so bad. Oh god. And it's like the first Kingsman movie was actually good, but I digress.
Yeah, it's great.
I loved it, first Kingsman.
Yeah.
Underrated movie. I liked it. Oh, sorry. What, you gonna say something? Anyone?
Well, I was gonna. I think the first film was fantastic. I think the church fight sequence goes down as one of the all-time greatest action sequences in cinema.
Up there with
The
Old Boy.
second film was decent, and the third, this prequel is just absolute trash. Really doesn't kind of fill me with hope for his proposed third film. I think we need to just admit that he
jumped the shark
lucked out with that first film, and
I'm extremely disappointed. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Matthew Vaughn, like, he's like made some like great films. Kick-Ass, I think, is a criminally underrated comic book flick, and Kingsman also another underrated flick that I think is great.
X-Men First Class.
Golden Circle, which was okay, but could have been way better. Then he made The Kingsman, which was utter trash. So I'm not having as much hope for his third Kingsman film, sadly.
Not at all, yeah.
I wanted to go back to The Northman real quick. I am very excited for this movie. Taheg, I know you like Norse things as much as,
Hell yeah.
I mean, you've said you're kind of sick of Norse stuff. I mean, I'm a big Norse guy. I love Norse myth. I like Vikings and warriors, all that cool shit. Maybe I'm not a Viking fanatic, but I do like that heavy metal Norse myth type of thing. And I heard the Northman called by pre-critics who saw it before it officially came out. They were calling it the most metal film of all time. So I don't know if that's true, but I wouldn't be surprised if it were. It looks fantastic.
It really does.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm gonna need to be done pretty soon because it's 10 o'clock.
Oh, all right.
I need to eat dinner.
I was about to say call it, but but yeah.
Me now, it's fine.
But The Northman looks amazing. I'm hoping you guys agree with me. Please agree with me.
It looks absolutely phenomenal. I cannot wait. I will definitely be seeing that in the cinema.
What do you think, Jacob?
Oh, I'm definitely seeing it in theaters.
I'm also curious to see how Eggers, just some quick thoughts before I wrap up here. Quick thoughts before, I'm curious to see how we'll handle action, and from what I saw in the trailer, the action looks fantastic. But what do you guys think, real quick? Just in a couple of words, maybe. Because I don't want to keep Taheg for too much longer.
Freaking starving here. I mean, we've seen Eggers do kind of folk horror. We've seen him do psychological horror. I'm very interested to see what he can do with a Viking revenge thriller. And now that we've heard it's also the most metal film released ever, like, you've literally done everything you need. All you would need to do to absolutely guarantee I was there on the first day would be to cast Amber Rose Reaver in one of the roles. But yeah, you've done pretty much everything required to get me there day one.
All right, so that was our episode on The Lighthouse. Thank you, Taheg, our special guest.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully, when Thor season comes around, we can have you on again, because I definitely would like to do a Thor, where we talk about the Thor movies before Love and Thunder comes out, because Taheg here is kind of our informal Thor expert.
Informal? Yes, I am. I'm a massive Thor fanboy, so I will absolutely be here for your Thor season.
Should be in a few months though, so you got time to collect your thoughts. Though I do dread the day we talk about the Dark World.
I quite like that film. I can't help it.
Oh, you do like it? I thought you didn't like it, but whatever. I don't know. That's fine.
I don't like it as much, but I still enjoy it.
But thank you, Taheg, for coming on. And Jacob, you pick this week. What movie do you have for? I have an idea, but you could surprise me. What do you want? What do you want us to talk about next week?
This is going to be a surprise to you. If you don't mind, I'd like to do another guest episode.
Oh boy, what you thinking, my friend?
We're going to have Carlton Bacon on, and we're going to talk about the Snyder Cut.
Oh dear. I thought you were going to say the Batman.
I can't wait for that.
Oh god.
I think the moment he said, "Well, I mean, guest episode," I was like, "It's going to be this freaking Snyder Cut, isn't it?"
God. Oh man, you know what? I knew this day would probably come, but I thought you were gonna pick the Batman for sure. But you know what? You did surprise me. But Taheg, you want to sign out real quick? Want to tell people where to find you?
Yeah. If you want to hear more of my rambling nonsense about rambling nonsense, you can find I'm a regular contributor over at Pop Culture and Comics, where I do a weekly comic book retrospective. I'm currently on the break, having just finished revisiting the 2009, I believe it was, Immortal Iron Fist run, which was not as good as I remember. But I will be back next week, where I'm starting a new run, which may be something slightly different to what you've come to expect. But yeah, so I also have a run on Jason Aaron's Thor era, which, if you are looking forward to Love and Thunder, will be well worth reading, because it is the Gore Saga, which is a huge influence on Love and Thunder.
Indeed. But, oh man, the Snyder Cut. Okay. It wasn't that bad. But, anyways, I've been Britton.
And I've been Jacob.
And we do it for the love of the movies.
Yes, we do.
At least most of the time. All right.